This week, we're discussing the potential for midlife upgrades for the current gen consoles, as well as taking an in depth dive into the first season of The Last of Us. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who I saw in person for the first time in over a year, and boy, oh boy, was it glorious. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
That's me.
That's you.
I'm better this week than I was last week because I've gotten to see you in between.
Right, so you got to ride that high for a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm also sad because I was closer to seeing you then than I am now.
You closer to see... Oh, right. But
Yeah.
But at least we know that it won't be another year before we see each other again. So we at least have that going for us. After the next time we see each other, who knows? But hopefully with confidence we can say it won't take a year again, ever. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe COVID 23 happens.
That would be ideal.
Well, it was great. I'm so happy we got to see each other. And now I'm very excited to hear about your past week in games.
Yeah, well, you know most of it.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll talk about you and I played some video games. We had some throwbacks.
Yeah.
Got the old GameCube set up, which still worked, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
So we did some damage. We pretty much beat you, Shelby, and I Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yeah. We
in one night.
we had the realization that wow, you can actually do a lot of the damage. Now, granted, we didn't do the All Cup tournament that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which that is the probably the part of the game that takes like you unlock, like 4 things after doing that on 50, 100, 150 and mirror. I can't remember if there's a 200cc on the GameCube or not. I don't think there is. But doing just those 4 is probably equivalent to all the other work you do in the game. Like that's probably 50% of the work is just doing that. But yeah, we did a lot of damage and it was a blast.
It definitely was. I actually went back and played some of it again. Working through, I don't know what else we had. Oh, I guess whatever the special cup is, as Rainbow Road and such.
Yeah.
I did that in 100cc, and we'll do it in 150 as well. Yeah, it was fun, and I've been on a real Nintendo kick since then. I think this was from the last time we recorded, but I did get the GameCube controller that came out for Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the company that makes it. It's some weird stretch of characters. I'm trying to pull up my email. NYXI. Nixie. I don't know if it's supposed to be set all together. But so a couple things, updates since last time you were here. I upgraded my Switch Online account.
Okay.
To whatever the one that gets you like the Game Boy and Nintendo 64 and such.
Yeah.
So we got that for a year. And I did the Switch Online benefit, which I think you can get without upgrading, of the $100 for 2 game vouchers.
Uh-huh.
So we got Mario Kart 8, which I wasn't buying because I have it for Wii U.
Right.
But since they did the content pack, I said, okay, well, I guess I'll get it for Switch so I can play it on there and it look a little better and whatever.
Right. And at least it like now truly feels like it's its own game, right? Because of all the stuff that they added.
Right.
Okay.
So we got that. And I also got Breath of the Wild.
Oh, nice.
Which my brother had loaned to me for a while and I just never played it. But I figured that'd be a good game to try on the new controller I got, so that was really the main reason I got that. So I'm hoping to play that soon, and I kind of found a little loophole for getting Tears of the Kingdom cheaper than you can anywhere else in this process because you can use these vouchers towards pre-ordering that game.
Oh, interesting.
So essentially, you can get it for $50 if you buy these vouchers, get a $50 game with the other voucher, and pre-order Tears of the Kingdom. So
Right.
if I decide to do that, that's probably how I will buy it. But I need to get through Breath of the Wild first.
Yeah, I still need to go back to Breath of the Wild. I had started it and I made the mistake of thinking I could like stream it.
Hmm.
And it's just like not a not a good game, at least for me, with how I play games. And um it's just not a good fit for the type of games that I normally stream. So
Hmm.
uh yeah, it was really difficult for me to like really get into it and really like focus on it and everything. And so I need to just like not do that. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what you think of it.
I've really wanted to play it basically since it came out. It almost prompted me to get a Switch the first time.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm far. I think I didn't because I like saw a bunch of people. I watched a bunch of people play it. And I think now I'm far enough removed that I can actually go in and things are exciting again. And
Sure.
so, um, yeah, we'll see. On I'll let you know. I'll let you know what I think about it. Um, Other than that, I'm trying to remember if I played an Xbox game because I feel like I played an Xbox game. I guess you and I played Cluster Truck. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That was an experience.
Yeah,
Played a little Vampire
I did.
Survivors.
Yeah, yeah. Vampire Survivors. I have not played that since you left, but I didn't delete it either, so that's good.
So you didn't hate it that
Um,
much.
no, no. I mean, it was interesting. I only played one round, I think, when you were here, but I'll give it some more time. Uh, I have a feeling, in the coming weeks, I'm really just going to need to like mindlessly kill time. It honestly reminds me of a game that would be like good to play during the workday if I just need like a 10-minute break,
Mm-hmm.
just doing anything but work.
Because literally like Snake basically is like the best way to
Right.
like describe it. It's very simplified gameplay.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't really require a whole lot of brain power, but it's distracting enough
Mm-hmm.
to get past.
Yep.
Um, I do want to uh, just mention that we went to a barcade and played the hell out of some Galaga.
Yes.
Not
Thankfully it was
Galgun.
free.
Yes.
Yeah, not Galgun.
Galaga.
Galaga, yes.
um, so I actually spent some time looking and trying to figure out the best way that I'm going to be able to play that again because I remembered how much I loved that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's an arcade machine in my future. I know that on Switch there's like a Bandai Namco. I guess I don't know if it was them or Midway, but collection.
Mm-hmm. There
So
there was an old for I remember it was for the Game Boy Advance. I can vividly picture the cartridge. Um
I do have a copy of that. I think I actually have two copies.
it's like Namco Museum, I think. Or Namco
Yeah,
Collection or something like that. And I'm pretty sure Galaga and like Dig Dug and Pac-Man, Frogger maybe? I don't know. Can't remember exactly, but ton of games on there and I'm almost positive Galaga's one of them.
you're a genius. I completely forgot I had that.
Hey, it's what I do.
And I don't know where my original copy is, but I know I have another copy somewhere that one of the few games I didn't get rid of. And then I don't know if you remember last year I bought a Game Boy SP off of
Oh, I remember.
yeah.
I'm gonna
It actually had
redact
a
that.
copy of that in it. So I have 2 copies now, and I know where that copy is. But
I'm gonna censor where you said you got it from.
what did I say?
No, stop. Stop saying things. I'm gonna censor everything so that way people don't know because I consider it still my hidden gem.
I definitely didn't mean to say it, so cut this part out.
I'm making myself a note. Um, but yeah, I I don't know if I have a copy of it still. So if you ever find the additional copy, I may ask you. I may ask you if to take pity on me.
I think I owe it to you at this point.
um,
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that I know where my copy is. I might be looking at it right now. I think it's in like a random DS case. So yes, if I find it, I will bring it to you the next time I see you.
excellent, excellent. Um, yeah. I mean, did you have anything else that you played or?
I'll lie and say I didn't play Madden in the past 3 days.
I will lie as well and say I'm not super fucking excited for next Friday, which is the early access for MLB The Show.
Nerd.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, you basically summed up everything that I played for the most part. I did play a little of my. I had my Vitas, but played a little Final Fantasy 4 while
Nice.
at your place. I think I'm almost done with it too. So I just got to push forward and get through that 5 and 6. And then I will officially be able to move over to playing the games on like the console and on like the TV
Mhm.
and stuff. Um, so I did play a little bit of that. And then since being back, I've been chipping away at the Saints Row Platinum, which I'm getting so close. It's felt like such a grind, and now that I'm like close, I'm kind of getting a little sad. So I think I'm going to jump into Saints Row the Third, and just tear through that because I know that'll be a fast play, in between some of this like other stuff I've got going on. Uh, but yeah, that's about it. And I have MLB coming, so we all know how that'll go.
Of course. Of course.
But yeah, um, we really need like a new game to come out for both of us to play together again.
Well, if you had an Xbox, we could play
Yeah,
Forza together.
yeah, that's true. If I had an Xbox, I definitely think Redfall would be really fun.
Yeah.
It feels like
Yeah,
a
that is one of those games.
I said it, yeah, I said it when they did the like showcase and stuff, and I was saying how like it feels like a Mike and Spencer game where I can like fuck up stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Ideal.
but yeah, I really need another game like that for us to because we haven't truly gamed together since like what Ghost Recon basically. I mean Division 2, I guess, but like we were going hard at what was the Ghost Recon game? Wildlands.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yep.
like the last game that we like actually poured. I feel like a good bit of time into. So desperately need a fixing for something else. And playing Double Dash was like a such a tease. Um,
And Mario Party.
and Mario. Oh yeah, yeah,
Some dumb shit happened in Mario Party too.
yeah. Dumb shit meaning Shelby fucking won. Unreal.
Stupid bonus stars. Should have said. I almost said, let's not play with those.
Oh, you're the worst if you say that. Bonus stars are what's so fun about the chaos. It's honestly most of the time the reason why I end up winning.
It's most of the time where I end up losing. So
Yeah, like I'll normally have like I'll be back 1 or 2 stars and then I'll sweep the bonus stars and end up winning. And that's the
I
best.
guess when I'm playing with actual people, I don't really care. But like when I'm playing and a CPU just completely like shafts me because of all the like they just played shitty.
Mhm.
Like then it's just annoying. It's like why did I do this? Why did I spend so much time playing this game just to have a loser win.
Yeah, I'm
I wouldn't
curious.
call my friends losers, so
I'm curious why when you're playing against the computer, it's so close that the computer is able to win. Boom.
well, it's only like 10 rounds. Like I can fleece them out of 20 stars
Why are you not playing 50 turn Mario Party all by
by
yourself?
myself because
Yeah,
I'm not a loser.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say these hurtful things.
To be clear, I only said that because I figured it would get something out of you.
I've
Um,
actually, I'll be honest, I've never played a 50 turn Mario Party by myself.
I am nearly certain that I have. So
It's something I would do, but it's something I would do now, but not something I would do back when I would have had a Mario Party. Although no, I lie because I wouldn't play a 50 turn round of Mario Party by myself now. But I would absolutely like force Shelby to play 50 turns of Mario Party.
yeah, of course.
It saves between the rounds too, so I don't get why people roll their eyes about it. Like you can stop whenever you want. All right. So we have a couple of things that I talked about at the top that we're going to discuss today. But before we get into that, wanted to call attention to just a little news update, something that we're all going to have to kind of pay attention to over the coming weeks in regards to the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal and the current lawsuit with the FTC. Basically, Stephen Totillo has a thread up as of today, basically detailing some issues that uh, the FTC is saying they have with this like potential deal, and effectively what it boils down to is that Microsoft hasn't disclosed everything that the FTC says they want, and specifically they want to know more about like the ZeniMax exclusivity, and like what's happening there. And we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, which is probably a mistake. We should save our talking points for the actual uh, episode. But I was saying to you, like, I don't really understand why that matters in any of this. Why what they did with ZeniMax matters, like whether they said something verbally and then like reneged on it, like doesn't really matter, because it's not like anything like any agreements or anything like that was signed. So I don't really understand why that's being brought up and why any um weight is being put on that. And also I don't understand where they did renege on any of the ZeniMax exclusivity. They haven't said that like any game that is now exclusive to Xbox was ever going to not be exclusive. And they didn't say anything that would be everywhere or cross platform or whatever. They didn't say anything would be that and then pulled back on that. I think I said that right. So I'm really confused why this is being brought up in regards to the Activision Blizzard thing.
Yeah, and I think they're talking about a game, perhaps, 'cause there was quite a bit that was redacted from the statement. And in my opinion, it wasn't exactly clearly written in the first part.
Mm-hmm.
In the first place, I'll get my right P word eventually. Um, so I mean, it's hard to say if it's a game that hasn't really been announced yet. I mean, then yeah, what's the point? Because they basically just said any existing IP was, they're going to do their best to keep it on multiple platforms. They've also said since that, buy a studio to not have exclusive games. And I know they're talking about having like the games that people want to play on any platform. And I know they've been pitching that a lot recently because that's the talking point against this. But really the thing is like these big games, like Call of Duty, that's obviously not going to be exclusive. I would say probably the mainline series. If they decide to do a spin-off that's Xbox only, like I kind of feel like they have the right to do that.
Sure.
I don't think they will at this point because I think that would also raise red flags in the future. But if they wanted to do a Pitfall remaster and only have it on Xbox, like it's their company, they have the right to do that.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I don't know, and I should say that we looked at this right before we started recording.
Yeah.
We're looking at other people's screenshots. I certainly didn't read the actual documentation from the FTC's lawyers. I'm assuming you didn't either. So we have just seen screenshots from other people, but it's a little confusing. They talk about crossplay and then in the same, pretty much the same sentence, move into exclusivity. So I don't know if the lawyers are confused about the difference in that or if they're intentionally being confusing because they know the FTC is so fucking stupid that they can write whatever they want.
Right.
Um, that's kind of the game that the opposition to Microsoft is doing right now is just banking on how stupid people are.
Yeah. That's a lot of it reads like uh they don't really understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you bring up a good point. We haven't had the opportunity to like fully look into this, and also there's really not enough here, I think, for the time being. But this will certainly be something important as we move forward, in terms of what the inevitable outcome of this lawsuit and this potential deal ends up being.
Yeah, I think the point being, of us talking about this now is acknowledging that this is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people talking about this now, and a lot of people who are like, well, wait, didn't Microsoft just get mad at PlayStation for denying requests? Um, yeah, I understand why people are now questioning Xbox. And they're like, oh, what's Phil Spencer hiding? But they're also asking about plans for next generation consoles. And I mean, we're going on 3 years
Right.
since this console generation came out. Um, the people questioning why Microsoft doesn't want to talk about that is that's completely unfair at this point. If they're going to talk about it, then PlayStation should also have to divulge that information because we're kind of in the early stage of okay, what technology are we going to use to build this stuff, and eventually it'll all even out. But right now, they're trying to develop whatever competitive advantage they're going to have. Um, so not to say that they should necessarily withhold that information if the FTC is asking for it, but it should be asked across the board.
Right. It's only fair.
Yeah. So hopefully, we'll have more information on this moving forward. I think it's important that we start the conversation because it is just like one of those weird things where some people are going to think it's one sided and other people are going to think that uh, there's a lot of Xbox sympathizers.
Right. Yeah. We will see. Um. All right. Now to talk about other rumors. So Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming.
Is it insider gaming or inside gaming?
Insider Gaming.
Okay. Are they
Inside Gaming is the old Rooster Teeth gaming news outlet.
okay? So does this? Sorry, I'm going on Twitter now to look because I think this matters. Is this part of like Insider, like Business Insider, and
I actually
doesn't seem-
I never thought about that. I have no idea.
it doesn't seem like it. Which I have a feeling we'll see a name change to this media outlet eventually. But
Yeah. So Tom Henderson's kind of the head guy when it comes to a lot of these stories, and he posted yesterday. We're recording this on the 15th. He posted this yesterday. It's an exclusive, so they're the first to break this news basically, and nobody else has really talked about it from what I can look and find. But basically, PS5 Pro is in development, could release late 2024. Um,
is what he said.
is what he's saying. Yes. And he did follow that up and said that, like, um, let me find it. He said that I know today's PS5 Pro report was almost like a trust me bro type of deal, but I will talk about it more in due course when I can. So, you know, take what we're saying, with a potential grain of salt. But I think no matter what, the discussion can be had over, is this, I guess the first thing is this even necessary for this generation? I think it was Jeff Grubb who brought up a really good point of there was good reason behind doing a PS4 Pro and doing the Xbox One X, and that was because there was actual like improvements to be made, and it also helped them to regain that price point that the original console started at. Over the years it drops in price, but he said that that hasn't happened with this current gen, doesn't look like it's going to happen. And what improvements are you actually going to make in this like midlife upgrade?
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, I think going off of that, is this even necessary? Um, and the report says only PlayStation. Do we imagine that Xbox is also potentially working on a midlife upgrade of some sort?
I just want to say that nothing about this article actually insinuates that Sony is like for a fact working on a midlife console. I think it can be assumed,
Mm-hmm.
but like the facts that I don't know if Tom was the author of this article or what, but they're bringing up two different stories. And I think they just wrote it in a confusing way to make people think that there is a midlife upgrade coming this year.
Well, I think
So,
he said late 2024 technically.
okay. Well, regardless,
Mm-hmm.
the upgrade that's coming is a re-engineered PS5 that is not going to have any significant upgrade other than it's cheaper and more available to produce.
And
So the insider, go ahead.
is that the one that has like the um, external disk drive?
Yeah, he used the author used the phrase detachable.
Yeah.
Um, but we've known about that for a while that Sony was, rumored to do that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't personally constitute that a midlife upgrade.
No.
Um, but they threw in that same article, and I think that's where this gets confusing, that Mark Kearney, who is I think one of the head of engineering
Mm-hmm.
with PlayStation at Sony, filed a patent for some ray tracing improvements, which would require a re-engineering of the hardware. Um, and it's essentially developing. I think they called it an RPU, but essentially a secondary GPU that specifically handled ray tracing because ray tracing is very compute heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think people jumped on this and said, "Oh my God, like one and one is two here, and we're going to get a PS4 Pro next year." And I think people are just reading way too far into it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think this Mark Kearney patent has nothing to do with the system that's going to come out in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
What it does show is that Sony is in fact working on innovating and making this console generation better. Ray tracing, obviously, a really big upgrade to this console generation. Like true ray tracing, we had I don't know if I want to call it simulated or artificial ray tracing in the previous generation, but
Mm-hmm.
improved ray tracing. We could see, or we will hopefully see more improvements on that in the future, but using the existing hardware. So I think there's a lot of reading into this that shouldn't have happened, and a lot of people. I get it. People want to be excited about something or mad, no matter how you want to cut it. So I've
Sure.
seen a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I just bought I was just able to buy a PS5, and now they're already talking about a new one.
Right.
I don't think that's the case.
And my thing is like, I'm not mad if they do it. I just question why it would happen. And like, I don't know, the average console, what, it's like every 7 years, right? And then a new one comes out.
Mhm.
And like you said, we're going to be 3 years in at the end of this year. And like, I don't know, dude. I can't even begin to think about them trying to push out another console. Um, which I know it would still be theoretically 4 years away, but like, I just like question how much better can it actually get, right? And if you're not making an actual meaningful upgrade to it, then like what the fuck's the point other than money?
And you mean like what's the benefit of a midlife?
Well, right, like cuz I barely see the benefit right now into even making a new console, so like what the
Mhm.
hell is the midlife going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the PS4 Pro was developed to improve PSVR.
And it was like for better like 4K optimization, right?
Yeah, I mean it gives you 4K.
Yeah.
The original PS4 did not have 4K, so that was an additional benefit. Um, but the main reason was for PSVR.
Okay.
I think some games had an FPS boost, but not a ton. It certainly wasn't to the upgrade that like a Series or a One X was.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like even the PS4 Pro wasn't this like huge step up whereas the 1X was.
Right, but same price. So take that for whatever it's worth. Um,
Personally, I'm
y-
shocked.
right. I've seen, a bit of commentary on this yesterday, and I didn't, really know what prompted it until I asked you today. But I saw Jez kind of said, I don't know why people are so mad about mid generation upgrades. Like if they put out a new console every year, I'd buy it.
Oh,
And I I get that for, his profession, I guess. I I wouldn't. That would kind of piss me off. I would just never buy a console then.
I
I
hate
guess,
that I hate that I'd feel almost obligated to.
it's the same people who get a new iPhone every year, It's, some people appreciate that and want the newest thing.
Mhm.
I personally like to see a jump in performance, so I wait a couple of years to buy things.
Right.
I also don't like to be wasteful, and I can't imagine the amount of e-waste that would happen if we had annual console releases, but, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see a mid-generation upgrade this year because of COVID. Uh, I think there's a lot that can be done on the hardware, that hasn't yet, just
Right.
because innovation was stifled for the first 3 years. Um, and we might. My honest opinion is, I think a new generation is going to come out before we even see what the full capabilities of this generation was.
Oh, 100%.
So I don't see um, a mid-year console upgrade. I don't see price cuts uh, for the base consoles. Obviously the Series S has already had pretty much a price cut, permanent price cut. Um, we're gonna start seeing the original SKU of PS5 stop being developed and replaced with whatever is coming next year. Um, we might see that with Xbox. It's hard to say. Um, but yeah, I don't see anything that's going to have a significant upgrade. I think we're playing catch up to this generation, and any patents you see are kind of going to be fed into next year or in the next generation.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, it'll remain to be seen what Tom Henderson actually has because he did say like stay tuned effectively. Like he apparently has more on this. So,
I I think he's trying to build his brand. I didn't even realize he had his own gaming news company. I mean, I've followed him for many years now.
Hmm.
This is the first I'm hearing of him having a company, so I think he's trying to act like he has a scoop to build his brand.
Gotcha. I feel like that's a really good way to lose like the faith and trust of your like followers and your base.
Yeah, but it's par for the course in this industry. So
That's true. We'll see if
I
it
can't
burns him or not.
blame
Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I hope you're right. I hope we don't see a mid-cycle upgrade. It just feels super unnecessary.
the best upgrade Sony and Microsoft can do right now is re-engineering so they can actually ship these fucking things. And honestly, at this point, that's more towards Microsoft than Sony because it seems like I see Sony inventory
Yeah, I was gonna say
all the
Sony. It seems like finally caught up and has it. Yeah,
yeah. I see Series S's everywhere, but I've never seen a Series X in the wild.
it's a good point. I don't know if I have either. Although I don't know if I've seen a PS5 in the wild, except for the person who was picking one up from Target, like
Mm,
um, like an online order pickup. But I'm also
I
not out in the
know.
wild very often.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not either. But last time I went to Target, they were there. Last time I went to Walmart, they were there. So I, I think I think they're out there now. And I should say just the disc version. I've never seen the digital version out in the wild.
Interesting. Well, I would love if they did make the external disk drive and found a way to make it work with the diskless PS5 that I have. And if
I
I could
wouldn't
just
get your hopes
if I could
up.
just if I could just go ahead and have that attachment because um not that I like I don't regret um I don't regret getting the digital only. However, there are certain games that I would have loved to just buy the physical release of. And that's simply from a crackhead collector standpoint.
Hmm.
So depending on what goes on here, if we get like certainty that like the mid cycle upgrade's not a thing, or if we find out that it is a thing and it actually seems like it has like worthwhile upgrades to it, which I again can't imagine. But I know Shelby wants a PS5 so that we can keep playing like certain games together and stuff. So might make that one a disc one. So that way buying physical releases isn't so painful.
Yeah.
But I'll fucking do it. And I'll do it again, you know? I don't care that much. It's just it just would feel it'd be a little less painful to just pay $70 once for
Right.
God of War Ragnarok instead of twice. And I'm already gonna have to retroactively go back and do some of this shit. Anyway, enough about that. And unless you have anything else on this, news story, we can move on.
No, let's talk Last of Us.
All right. Well, I will give the warning that we normally give each episode, and this is going to, I would say, be very in depth, talking about all aspects of the show now that season 1 has officially wrapped. So this is your warning. If you are jumping ship, really appreciate it. And if you do decide to watch the show, I hope you come back and share your thoughts on the show and hear Mike and I share our opinions. And if you're here to stay, let's get into it. I don't know. I don't know where to start. If we want to just start on this final episode and then talk about the show as a whole, or do we want to talk about the show as a whole and just kind of like have this last episode bleed into it?
I would say let's talk about this week's episode, and then we can kind of just give like overview
Okay.
thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. So, without further ado, why don't you tell me your thoughts on the season one finale of The Last of Us?
I we talked about this last week too, but when the drafts came up, I was that Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yes, 100%. And those were real giraffes.
Yeah, I saw that. They had him in like I guess I'll call it a green room, but the walls were blue.
Uh
But
huh. Yeah, that was incredible. That was so incredible to see.
yeah, I'm shocked that they did that. I also saw that in the baseball field in the background, the field was the same name
Hmm.
as it was in the game, which was one of the developers' wife's name.
Hmm.
So that was funny.
I loved that. Yeah.
I think this might have been my favorite episode. I think I can say with a pretty good degree of certainty that this is my favorite episode. Even though, like, again, knew what was going to happen, and I feel like with this episode they stayed pretty true to what happens in the game.
Hmm.
Just seeing it on screen was great, and just like seeing how this version of Joel navigated the situation,
Hmm.
I thought was really well done. Uh, the commentary around it's been kind of fun, like people who haven't necessarily played the game, uh, just like was talking about whether or not Joel was right or wrong,
Hmm.
or things like that. So that's been cool to see. What were your thoughts?
I think I'm right there with you for basically all the reasons you said. I think this was my favorite episode. Um, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was so well done. Um, this episode, I think, especially since probably the first episode, had the most moments where I had like chills because of how 1-to-1 it truly felt to the game.
Hmm.
Um, just which I think of all the episodes, the first one and this one were the ones that like kind of needed to be.
Right.
And they were just so well done. I yeah, I really really loved this episode. I think this one, last week's, so episode 8, and then episode 3 and 1 were like the best for me. Like and one I think definitely has some pull just because of how it like helped to set up how the show was going to be and everything. But I really thought those were the best episodes, and I thought the way they like did the end was so good. Um,
Hmm.
the the discourse, or the debate, we'll say, around if Joel is right or wrong has been, yeah, so much fun. And uh I I'm actually, I think, kind of surprised how many people are like, I think, honest with themselves and say that they would do the same thing that Joel did. But I did see one person bring up the point of they don't feel the issue is in whether or not what Joel did was right or wrong at the hospital, or at the Fireflies. But yeah, they were in a hospital. They were saying that the right or wrong comes down to when he lies to Ellie, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
fair point.
because you know I I I think I stand by that he's right in the action that he did. Um, Obviously, like no matter like, uh, because I think what it boils down to is like you're not gonna let them cut and kill like the person who you love, who means like the world to you, to potentially, with no guarantee whatsoever. I don't know. I think anybody who like is like guaranteed like no, I'd let them is like I don't know if
Yeah.
you would. Like, obviously, we're never going to be in this scenario. Like, you know, there's the potential for one of us out there to eventually be put in this scenario, I guess. But odds are you're never going to be put in this scenario. Um, just like you're never going to be put in the scenario where you have to say a racial slur to save humanity. But
Right.
nonetheless, we need to ask chatbot to make sure. Um, but where it comes down to is when he lies to Ellie, and I that is where I'm actually torn. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is there because he's a real piece of shit for lying to her, and especially when she gives him like the chance to tell the truth. Even the initial lie is like kind of fine by me, but when she asks him and he says, "I swear," which again done in the show so perfectly, doesn't even take a second. He says it so fast with such certainty that is just so well done. Ah, so good. Thought this seriously, everything about this show is so freaking phenomenal. But that's the moment where I'm so torn and I'm like, ugh.
I I blame Marlene more than anybody, and I'm glad people are talking about this because it actually like had me thinking about it, and you know, I'm fairly certain that Marlene knew about Sarah when she wanted him to take her across country.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're asking this guy who lost, you know, his daughter, who is very similar to Ellie, and they talk about that in this episode, how they would
Mm-hmm.
have been friends. And you want him to take her across country and have to take care of her. Like he can, they can assume he's as cold as they want, but you need to take care of this person, even from the beginning. That is part of your job. And to think that you're not going to have some sort of emotional connection to that person at the end of that journey, I think is unreasonable. And
Right.
then, to knock him out, take her to surgery, and he wakes up and is already confused and disoriented, and to talk through the process with her and to essentially say, you know, she's not going to survive this, and have him be emotional knowing that she's already in surgery in times of the essence. Like, he made a decision. And at that point, you don't have time for logic. It's only emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't blame Joel at all. I don't blame Joel for lying because at the end of the day, it was Marlene's fault. And obviously Marlene was never going to be able to tell Ellie her side of the story. So that's kind of now the truth.
Right. So that's also a great way of thinking about it. There's really like no right or wrong answer, I think, with all this because like
Mhm.
again, like when it all boils down to it, like the situation is one that you're never truly going to be in. But if you had to put yourself in Joel's shoes, we all have our own thought of how we think we would act in that situation. Um, and again, it's not real, so technically, none of it matters. Um, but yeah, uh, I think you raise a really great point, or even just the fact that like Marlene's not upfront about it in the first place. Like it could have been something that like she told Joel in confidence, right before he went out with on the trip with Ellie. Like, just so you know, this is most likely going to end up with her like dying or
Right.
whatever. And then he would have to like sit on that and weigh the decision of like, do I tell her or not and all that, right? Um,
Or
but
then also have the option to not get attached. He
uh,
wasn't given the option.
right, or exactly. And so like that plays into it. But yeah, you're right. Like in the moment, he only can act on emotion. Yeah, I man. Now I'm just thinking about the ending scene too. Like they did it so perfect.
Yeah,
And
it
and
was.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing.
And I'm thinking of how like when he's lying to Ellie while she's waking up from the drugs, and it's doing the like exact thing that it does in the game during that cutscene where it like cuts back to him the in the parking garage, and that's where like Marlene's confronting him, and he shoots her and then walks back over and like puts a final bullet in her because she's gonna come after him. Ugh, man. And the beginning, we didn't even bring it up. The beginning of that episode, Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie in the game, uh, plays Ellie's mom.
Yep.
And they show all that at the beginning of the episode, which also amazing, was also so like well done, and God, just I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. They really did just such an amazing job.
Another cameo was Laura Bailey was one of the nurses.
Yep.
And she played Abby.
In part 2, yep.
Interesting because, well, I guess I don't know. I guess I'm not going to say anything because we're going to get another season. So,
yeah, what's interesting is we are getting a second season, and they did say that the second season will not be all of the contents of The Last of Us Part 2. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I have some theories that I would love to give people, because I think a lot of people are now in on Last of Us, and I think this is going to lead to a lot of people, one, just playing the first game, and now also subsequently playing the second game. So we've done a spoiler cast on Last of Us Part 2 in the past. And so I'll refrain from spoiling anything from that, so that way anybody listening to this who hasn't had the opportunity can. But I would love to discuss with you separately a theory that I have for how season 2 is going to go.
Okay. We'll talk about that when we're done.
But they brought up some other stuff. More infected will be in season 2. That was something that people have brought up, I think rightfully so. But you brought up a good point last week that like the infected are really just in the game as the thing that is in between you and the next story beat, basically. Which in the show, technically, you kind of need to get to the next story beat a little bit quicker, so leads to not seeing as many infected. But yeah, I think with how season 1 went, this is, I hope, going to do a lot of really good things for other video game adaptations. We've already seen some other really strong ones here of late. But I think this one, of these like most recent ones, seems to be regarded as probably the best. Somebody did bring up a good point, and the reason I say recent ones is because technically the best video game adaptation is Pokemon. Which is
Did the game come first?
I think the was it the cards and then the game and then the show?
I know the cards came first. I really thought the show came and then the game, but I would not be the leading authority on that, so I wouldn't trust me.
All right, hang on. Doing a quick search. Red and Blue, released February 27th, 1996. And the show, great. Fucking, I hate searching for shit.
Oh, bitch.
Was broadcast October 1999. Oh, nope, wait. Premiered April 1997. So it might have been out. The show came out before Yellow, but Red and Blue came out before the show.
Gotcha.
So there you go. That's a technicality for you.
Fair.
But yeah, I mean, we know just Sony IPs that are going to be making the jump from game to TV/movie. We've got like God of War, we've got Horizon, we've got Gran Turismo. I think Ghost of Ghost of Tsushima is also, if I remember correctly, getting a movie.
I did not know that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's also getting something. Which sign me up. But yeah, I mean, I think this is great. I think HBO was the perfect service to do this show. I think it was like the New York Times or something was like, it might not have seemed like a perfect fit, and I was like, what are you talking about?
What
Like,
would have been?
yeah, HBO is absolutely the perfect fit. HBO is probably the perfect fit for like most video game adaptations. When you really like think about like the other like big budget shows they've done, but
I'd like to argue Paramount Plus, but
I don't know those Halo reviews.
yeah, it's not about killing the covenant. It's about the human
Experience.
experience. Thank you.
Does Master Chief ever fuck? That's what it's all about.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and I'm super stoked. You know, I'm so happy that this show was received so well. I mean, the numbers it did, like it was without a doubt a massive success. Um, you know, Pedro Pascal is like the biggest name now, uh, because of everything he had been doing leading up to it, and then the fact that he killed Joel and so many people had their eyes on it. Like you can't escape this man; he's everywhere.
Thank God.
I know. Uh, it's just so fantastic. I was nervous, for many reasons. But I think my best case scenario was that I loved the show more than the game, and I do think that happened.
Do you think you like the show more than the game?
Yeah, I think I think the experience of watching the show is better than um playing the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Um, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you enjoy the going around and killing mushroom people, sure, play the game. Like, you're still gonna get the human element of that,
Mm-hmm.
but just the way they were able to delve into that and these stories. I wish I could watch this show having never played the game.
Right.
I wonder what my opinion would be then.
I mean, it's literally like the additional, I mean, across 9 episodes, it probably accounts for maybe 20 minutes total of the season, but it's the well, no, that's not true because literally episode 3 entirely is like a whole rip of wallpaper peeling back layers. Um, but outside of, I would say that it's probably like give or take 20 minutes total of like additional things that you get to see that you didn't see directly in the game itself. And that alone is just so much to me and so amazing. And like, I don't know. I love that more.
Yeah, I get the I it's hard for me to say. Um, I love the game. Probably my favorite game of all time, so it's
Hmm.
like it's probably just pride saying like, "No, I like the game more."
Oh,
But
it's still my favorite game of all time.
yeah. Yeah,
But
I don't
but
know.
but that's how well
I
the
guess
adaptation was.
right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Uh, and that's just me. I mean, I mean, like you said, like if being able to actually like do the moving around and all that stuff means more to you, then yeah. But um, again, it just because the show is in my opinion the better way of experiencing the story, just because it's better in my opinion doesn't diminish the value of the game to me. The game is still peak gaming for me. It's still the pinnacle of any game, and I don't know what will be able to surpass that. Some games have gotten close, but like when it really boils down to it, it's literally like it's just the best game. So Um, what else? What else do you have on the show? Anything?
I have one thing that people were talking about that I thought was interesting.
Hmm.
The conversation about whether or not you kill the nurses in the game.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even realize that was an option. So that was
like
enlightening for me as a person.
you didn't realize it was an option not to, or you
No,
didn't realize it was an option to kill the nurses.
to kill them
Okay.
because
Yeah.
they like. I watched a video of it
Hmm.
because you have to like seek them out. They're like hiding in the shadows.
Yeah, they like plead and say, yeah.
Yeah, and then the video I was watching, the guy just emptied 2 tanks of flamethrower on them.
Yes. Oh, it was yeah, I saw the same video. Oh shit, what's his name? I am Dante.
Maybe,
I think yeah, I if it's the same one that I literally just saw.
probably.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally just yesterday. So
Um
if that's the ethics check, then I'm pretty happy about myself as a human.
uh yeah, I think I'm trying to think. What do I feel like the one nurse like picks up a knife and
Well, the surgeon
he
like
holds the
points a
knife.
scalpel at you,
Okay, okay, okay.
but that's it.
Okay, I couldn't
But it's just
remember if the one nurse is still out in the open or if both of them do hide away.
from the video I watched,
Regardless,
one like presses their back against the wall in the dark, and the other one like
is like
sits on,
hiding behind the yeah, yeah.
and you can like see them around the table. So it was just funny to me that people were like, "How come Joel didn't kill the nurses in the show?" And it's like, what?
Because you didn't have to? Because he's not that evil?
He probably wouldn't have killed the surgeon either.
Right. Right. He
Surgeon throw.
right. He would have just taken Ellie. 100%. Uh I that's the other thing that I was gonna bring up that I forgot about. That scene where you have to get from um taking out the two guards escorting you to Ellie's location. And the way they did it in the show was like a montage of Joel actually being a like uh basically like super hitman lethal assassin type person, which I think also is so amazing because throughout the entire show he isn't, right? Like he misses shots and he's not perfect, but then like when it is truly life or death for effectively his daughter, he like goes into like super soldier mode, and I thought that was also kind of amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
So so freaking good. I don't know. Yeah. I can't give it any more praise. I'm so looking forward to season 2 and how they end up doing it. I look forward to telling you my theory. Um, but yeah, definitely let us know what your thoughts were. Um, and let us know if you thought this was, the is this in your mind the best video game adaptation that you've seen? That's also a question for you, Mike. Would you say this is the best video game adaptation you've seen, or is there something else that you
Yeah,
think?
I'd say without a doubt. I've been trying to think about it since we were talking about that earlier, but yeah, I think it's definitely the best.
Because I know you've seen Cyberpunk. I haven't yet,
Um,
and I know that got a lot of high
okay.
praise. So
Um, I guess I wasn't really considering Cyberpunk. I still stick with my belief that
Mhm.
I think The Last of Us was better. I feel like it's hard to compare the 2. I mean,
Right, because Cyberpunk's technically like a unique story.
mm,
S-
right,
Still takes place
and
in
just
like the setting, but
yeah, but I just mean the format too.
oh, like live action versus anime.
Right, and
Yeah.
I'm not taking away anything from anime,
No, I get that.
but,
I
like,
understand.
I kind of expected that show to be what it was. I don't think I expected The Last of Us to end up, like, being this spectacle.
Sure. I
And
think
I'm not at all taking away from anime. Those people have more talent in one finger than I do in my entire body. But I don't have a better way of voicing it.
no, I get that.
And comparing the 2, again, I just think it's unfair.
Yeah. No, I completely get that. I think like the best video game adaptation I can think of besides The Last of Us is I guess I could technically say the Witcher TV show, but that's technically based on the books and not based on
Mhm.
the game. Um
Well, in that
so
case, then Cyberpunk is based on the board game and not on the game.
that's true. There you go. I would say the best is either for me it would end up being like either the new like Sonic movie or the Uncharted movie.
Mm,
Not sure where I land. Those are pretty comparable in terms of like these were fun.
yeah.
They weren't like neither one of them is amazing. But it's like yeah, I had a good time.
I
Um,
watched the Uncharted movie and said, "Oh, yeah, there's a lot of throwbacks to the game. I would take more of these if they decided to make them. If not, it was fun."
100%, 100%. Um, both of those definitely clear Assassin's Creed though. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
look.
tried to watch Assassin's Creed, did I tell you that?
You didn't finish it.
No.
Poor Michael Fassbender.
I will say, so it was when I was on vacation, they had it as, like, one of the movies you could pick on the plane,
Okay.
and I forgot to bring wired headphones, so I just had the ones they gave me, so that didn't help,
Okay.
but I should try it again, but I just need to say that I did try to watch it.
Well, there's always always next time, but it'll
Yeah,
be low on your list. I would imagine.
yeah.
Um, well, I think that does it then for this episode. So, like I said, let us know your thoughts on The Last of Us. Let us know your thoughts on a potential midlife upgrade for these current gen consoles. Um, and that's all I got. Trying to think if we have any events coming up. I know Xbox announced their dates for both their around E3 type showcase, and then also I think Starfield is getting its own standalone event. So, but that won't be until June. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe there'll be an acquisition. That'd be crazy. As always, thank you so much for listening. Leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen. Reminder, we do have a YouTube channel. I need to start saying this at the top, where you can more easily, I would say, leave comments unless you follow us on Twitter. And other than that, best thing you can do for us is share this podcast with Mike. Who should they share it with?
Mom.
A mom. All right. There you have it. And we'll talk to
Not
you next.
Ellie's mom, though, she's dead.
Oof. 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 All right. And we'll talk to you next week.